All right, guys, we are back in the Nonsense Garage. This man needs no introduction, but we're going to give him one anyways. 2021 Cup Series champion, 3-time Knoxville Nationals winner. If you check his Wikipedia page, it's like a 3-thumb scroller of all the times this man has won. 2024 Indy 500 starter, just waving the banner for all of us race fans out there. Kyle Larson joins Nonsense Garage.
How are you guys? Fantastic.
First off, are you okay? Because we were just watching your crash and it was large.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Sore?
Just a little bit. Not bad. It's getting worse. But it's not too bad, honestly. My head, actually, I was more worried about that as I was approaching the wall, but my head felt fine. So
how much time did you have to think, like, oh, boy, I'm in a bad spot?
Yeah. It happened, like, you know how, like, when you wreck, like, things are slower. Like, you have time to process, which I did, but it was fast. Like, it was faster than any – it happened quicker than I think any wreck I can think of.
Bro. So fast. Also, stuff happens in a hurry there in Atlanta. Yeah. What do you think happened there?
I think so. I mean, you know how the cars are. You get like weird. I was in that weird arrow spot. I think I was getting tight, you know. So I was trying to like shade, get some clean air. There? Yeah. I was trying to just shade to get some clean air and just kind of get to the end of the stage. And I think I was just like offset, you know, halfway, and it
snapped.
Yeah. I mean, it just like I was like, man, I'm just like cruising around the corner, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm loose. Like I'm about to spin out, and you know, and then I. Correct.
Would you like to relive it? We have the in-car camera.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, wow. Oh. God, it looks...
So you said you were wearing mouthpiece sensor?
Yeah, I think it was like 43 Gs. Honestly, like the hit from Briscoe hurt almost as much just because I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
Like it was so long after the wreck, but yeah. No, it was...
Sorry about that, buddy. That was
I know, just stupid. Like what even? I mean, none of us are trying.
Yeah, not even like
none of us are trying. So.
No.
Yeah, just bummer.
I'm glad your car turned back the other way though, and you weren't broadside.
Yeah. Like I'm lucky that Briscoe caught me in the right rear, rather than the door, because it could have been very similar to like when Priest entered my car in Talladega. So yeah, I mean unfortunate but got lucky, at the same time.
Yeah, well. Obviously not the way you want to start playoffs for that 5 team. You got 4 wins already on the year. What do you want to touch on here?
You have won a lot of races, but you have had some hellacious wrecks. Where does that rank in
that one?
What's your top 3?
Oh, top 3? Dude.
The Xfinity car Daytona.
I've got so many. Yeah, but that didn't hurt at all.
Yeah.
But like
the midget
spectacular
visually, yeah.
Spectacular.
I would say my number 1 would be I wrecked 2012. The 4 Crown in the Nomming Sprint car.
Was that the mean green car?
Yeah. So I like kind of bounced and got in the wall and was just going to tumble down the banking. Just not bad. And then somebody couldn't miss me, and I was upside down and hit me basically in my cockpit.
Oh.
And
were your eyes open or close?
Open, because I remember him coming. And
you looked at him in the eyes too.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I mean, it was probably huge for him too. But then I started flipping, and I nosed in one time, and it like major whiplash. Oh. And I was supposed to run the Tony Silvercrown car after that, and I was like getting my together in the lounge, and looked in the mirror. My neck was like
from the seatbelt.
No, I don't know, just from the whiplash. I think of whipping. So I was like, yeah, I probably shouldn't race. So I didn't race the Silvercrown, and I went and got checked out. I was fine, but I was way stiff, I remember, after that one. So I've tightened my neck restraints up quite a bit since then. And but yeah, that one was big. Talladega, I broke my rib. That one was big. That was kind of like didn't really know it was quite coming.
What year was that, so they could put the tape on there?
So I won Dover playoff race the week before.
42 car.
Yeah. So I think like 18 or 19, and then hit that really hard. Fontana was good. I've got so many to pick from. So.
Wrecks at Fontana,
dude,
were different.
Yeah, I shredded a left rear off of 2, and it ripped the brake line off or something. So like I had no brakes, and my car's going to the inside wall, and I'm like trying to pump.
Oh, no.
And I mean, I hit it a ton and like whip around.
And that's one where you get to think for a long way, like this is gonna really.
Yeah. Hurt. Oh yeah, that was a long time of thinking. So that one, I think, because of you have all that time, I think that's why it That one was like 50 something G's from what I remember.
That does not feel
you
good.
said your mouthpiece was 40 something.
Yeah.
It's a big hit.
Yeah.
Enough about wrecking. Let's talk about winning because you have
Okay.
been doing a lot of that too. Congrats on your 3rd Knoxville Nationals.
Thank you.
That's got to be pretty damn cool, huh?
Yeah. That one's
Led
really
all 50
cool.
laps.
Yep. Yeah. 2 years in a row leading all 50, and honestly, this one's really cool to me because it's been up to the couple weeks leading into Knoxville has been probably our worst ever year by far. In the 57, we've missed 3 main events. We've just not been that competitive. I think we'd only won like 2 races leading into that. Just been really inconsistent. And then, missed the feature at the Kings Royal, and went to work and came back and never lost. So, it was. That's why that one feels really special because I had no confidence after Kings Royal, and then we went to Peevely and started winning, and you build your confidence, and things just kind of snowball.
You went on a heater of a run in that thing.
Yeah, I think we won 6 in a row, and then was leading the.
Is that from those exhaust pipes that kick up? Is that
No, honestly, so we struggled. So we blew up. We'd just been inconsistent this year, but we blew up at the NASCAR weekend at Knoxville. We were running and blew up leading, put in a different engine, and just really didn't run good since then. So after missing Kings Road, we qualified like 40th out of 50 some cars. So we went to the chassis dyno. First time ever we've been in the chassis dyno. We don't ever do any R&D work at the
Neither does the 11 car this week, apparently.
So we went to chassis dyno. We learned that we were down a lot of horsepower with that engine. Plugged in our other one, which we were still down compared to our data point, which was Rico. They were nice enough to give us their they had just been a chassis dyno, but they've got the best engines probably in the sport. But anyways, put those headers on with the turn-up exhaust, and that seemed to not hurt it. So we just ran it, and I don't know, started winning.
How long does it take till every sprint car in the field has those types?
I don't know. They didn't take long, and there was definitely a handful of them. Like Rico, put them on. He's been winning almost every night since then too. So it's cool to see. There's not like a whole lot of innovation, I feel like, in sports, and not that was being innovative because people ran turned up exhaust like that back in the day, but for so long, at least since I've been racing sprint cars, it's all been straight pipes. So it was cool that we put it on and had success, and now there's a handful of cars throughout the country, non-wing guys.
It's funny when you
Outlaws,
win how people start doing stuff.
Yeah,
we were winning with the indoor car, and Corey drew a square. Tell him.
I just was watching, being a fan, and we were hanging out with him in the indoor stuff, and like trying to figure out how much camber the right front had. So I just literally drew like a chalk mark, like you would at a go-kart, right?
Uh-huh.
He did with a paint pen. He put a paint pen square on the right front tire, like up
to
on
see
the
how much
patch.
it was wearing. And then after he wins the first night, every car in the field had just a square on the sidewall, on the inside. People just drew a square on the right front tire.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Corey.
Pretty much the same thing as Kyle Larson winning
those
that.
sprint cars, though, are only wing, motor, tire, and driver. That's the only thing to them.
You got like 4 bars, 4 shocks. Like it's simple.
Moving wing, right?
Yeah, moving wing. But yeah. This year they changed the rule too. So like normally you could have up to a 2-inch wicker bill, and this year they've killed downforce, and now you can only run 1 inch. So it's kind of thrown a lot of teams off. I feel like majority of the year, like a lot of good teams have been struggling, and then some teams that have been average in past have been really good. So it's been an interesting year, kind of fun, even though we've struggled most of it. It's been fun to kind of see teams evolve.
On the opposite side of the spectrum, cars with a lot of adjustments, those Indy cars. I want to talk about that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Rumor has it there's an announcement coming on Tuesday. I saw that in my inbox. Zach Brown's coming to town too. Not the artist, but the fella from McLaren. How much did it take to get used to all the settings and adjustments and stuff with that Indy car before you went to run?
So, like when you look at it on paper, it's very overwhelming and stressful because you're like, man, there's so many buttons on here and dials and all this and that. But like once you get going, there's only like 2 things that you're really worried about. You got your weight jacker and then like your fuel setting.
So your weight jacker is just a button?
Yeah.
Does it just give you a number when you click
Yeah,
it?
yeah. There's like a negative to a positive number. So yeah, I mean, really, that's the only thing you're really worried about. And then, I mean, then there's like another dial that changes pages, like what we would have on our dash, or I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that it's really kind of useless, at least for me and what I experienced this past year. But yeah, no, when they email you the documents, you're like, dude, Like, oh my
Like
gosh,
they
I
give
haven't had to
you
do homework in
like
forever.
the owner's manual.
Yeah.
Like you get for your Tahoe.
Yeah, but as soon as I made laps, I was like, oh, these are the only things that we talked about and used. So then it was fine.
You said every time I talked to you about it, you said they drive eerily similar to a next gen car.
Yeah.
Which is bizarre to me. Why is that?
I think our cars have transitioned to a lot, similar. Obviously, I think the outer body stuff looks different, but I think what's underneath it, we've transitioned way closer to that style. So, I mean, shorter sidewalls, I think, is a big thing. The
Independent rear.
the underbody stuff, all that. So, yeah, I mean, like a cup car, like at Indy. Like if I didn't, if I couldn't visually like be in an Indy car and be behind an Indy car or be in a stock car and see a stock car in front of me, like I could close my eyes and they were almost identical.
In terms of how they
just the edginess, how they handle in dirty air, the wash effect that you get, which is more in an Indy car just because you're going faster, I think. Like if we were going 220, we would probably plow even more than we already plow in a stock car. So to me, like the aero, everything, the style of race, the strategy of the race, all that is so similar. So
how was the pre-race? It looks bananas.
Yeah, the pre-race is bananas. I don't know. My mind this year was like not really into it because like I was like sad, that I was gonna miss the start of the 600 and all that. So like I didn't really get to like soak in the pre-race. So that was a bummer because it is so cool, and it was different too because the weather had come in. So typically I think like you walk across the stage, they have a stage on the front stretch. Like we walked across the normal victory lane stage like we do for Cup. So all that was a little bit different, but regardless, I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of people there. It's just it's insane. I mean, you walk to intros like as a team with all the, mechanics and drivers and families and stuff together. So all that's really cool. Hopefully if I get to do it again next year,
hypothetically speaking,
we'll enjoy it more.
So you said they drive a lot alike, and you got a ton of practice, in May. But then when you went back with the NASCAR, you don't get a bunch of practice, and you were able to it looked like you were able to make runs and drive through the field better than anybody else had in a long time there. Did that time in May kind of making runs and figuring out where to pass help you when it came time for the NASCAR race?
I definitely don't think it hurt, for sure. Obviously, I think I was a little bit circumstantial being the amount of fuel we had. Like I could be aggressive, but still making those like late kind of like pop out position passes on entry was very much like an Indy car. Watching others do it in front of me, doing it a couple times in the race, like you get an idea of like what that visually looks like more than anything. So I think it definitely helped, but I think the fuel that we had on board helped more than anything.
Dude, I heard from somebody like Larson's making some sketchy moves in practice. I'm like, that's what he does, man. Like
there was only like one sketchy move. No, there was only one sketchy move I think that I made. And I was just trying to have like fun, and also, I mean, you kind of have to like make somewhat sketchy moves, I feel like, to learn, So like a lot of those guys race regularly. So the only one that I remember was like, I was having fun with McLaughlin, and I had a big draft, and he was like kind of entered lower, and I thought I could like clear him into one. Well, we just like ran side by side through one. So he was probably like, you idiot. But and I was kind of laughing, as I made it through. I'm like, okay, that was dumb, but let's not do that again. But the cars have so much grip that I really didn't have any sketchy moments ever. Thankfully, the only sketchy moments I really had was like when I would get tight and you have like a lot of wheel in it, and then it finally grabs and it like wants to kind of pull you around. But I never had like loose moments in the draft, nothing like that, which I think you do need to live on that little bit of an edge, where I think in practice, like going to do it again, I would just not that I wouldn't do anything, but I would just look for a little different balance throughout those days of practice. I think I was frightened of getting to that point, so I just had like a comfortable balance.
Yeah.
And then I think in the race I was just too tight to like build runs on people.
Seemed like one of those deals that there's almost so much practice that you're just like, let me get to the race already, because you're probably digesting so much information that you're just like, I can't get asked another question. I just want to race this thing and I'll figure it out. But
but for me though, like there's a lot of practice time, but really there's not as much as you think, because there's so much like waiting, and they make a change and it takes a few hours, and like, so you really like, you feel like you're missing out on more practice than really the amount that you get. But so it was still weird though, going from what we're used to at 20 minutes to, I don't know, 4 or 5 days of practice.
Hypothetically speaking, if you were to do it again, what do you do different, or what do you allow yourself to like embrace with the event versus just drinking from the fire hose from the first year?
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like I handled the experience really well. I really took time to enjoy every single day, from every day of practice. I mean, I must have signed thousands of autographs, but like, I enjoyed it. It was fun. I wanted to do that. I wanted to build these memories for myself, for my family, all of that, friends. So I would do that all the same. The only thing I would change would be like what I mentioned, just working through trying to get a little different balance throughout the days of practice to be a little bit more competitive in the race. I felt like we were pretty competitive, but
where do you feel, if you don't speed on pit road, where do you feel like you're?
I think I finished 4th to 7th probably, which is great. But
But you also go there to win.
Yeah, I couldn't win. Like, I knew I couldn't win. So, I mean, things play out. Maybe you can. But right. You want to, like, work through a balance where you are confident that you can win once the green flag drops. So, yeah, I would just work through a little different balance probably.
I love seeing the kind of like the celebrity status that it brought you, because I don't even know if you know this, but at the All-Star race when you flew in, we at the All-Star race, the picker guys do driver intros with the driver. So, like, us four and Blaney were walking, and you had landed, and, like, some security guy grabbed Blaney and us, like, get out of the way! Larson's coming through. Blaney's like, what the you come by.
Current champion.
Like, everybody, but, like, they were like, hold on! It was like the president was coming, but I thought it was super cool.
That was the month of Larson, bro.
Yeah, and you're a great ambassador for the sport. Not to kiss your ass, but it's pretty cool to see, so I'm excited.
Thanks.
And hope that you get to do it again.
Yeah, no, thanks. I agree, though. Like, it's weird. Like, I didn't think that my status would change, after it. But I do feel like I get recognized more. I just feel like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm more popular. It's just weird. It's weird after running, one event and not even, finishing 20th or whatever.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I have been, not infatuated necessarily, but I have been fairly interested in this world's greatest driver debate.
It's probably something you just said offhand, and then someone took it and ran with
it.
But it's intriguing.
When you end the quote with "you can quote that," you're here for the smoke.
I was laughing when I did it, because I knew it would get a lot of.
It did it ever. If we were to, because there was like the old Race of Champions, right, overseas, and Carl Edwards did it. I believe
it still goes on. It's just not as covered in America.
Yeah, what sort of events could we pin you and Max head to head with? Like, we'll do what sort of random cars would you think would be a fair judge?
I don't know. I really don't know, like, what. I don't know if you can ever
I
really.
Agree.
So I don't know. It's just a difficult thing and something to debate and try and prove.
But I feel like we got to know.
I know. I don't know. I think the Race of Champions kind of layout would be okay, but again, I think that's road course stuff.
Yeah.
That's a little bit more probably similar, I would say, to what he does. I don't even know. I think maybe they change the cars up every year. I'm not really sure what it is, but no, I mean, I would love to do it.
But I think the underlying thing for me is that just goes to show the level of self-confidence that it takes to be the greatest, right? And I think that particularly in my little, my year, it's been really the racetrack, and the self-doubt is always kind of there, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes when it's not going well, it gets a little louder voices. So how, and I'm sure those voices are there for you sometimes.
Oh yeah.
So how do you fight those off, right? And what's your internal dialogue during a Sunday or during a sprint car race that allows you to just go execute at a high level like you do?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I think for me, I race almost 100 times a year, so that really helps. And I go race cars that I'm familiar with and know that I'm going to run up front in, and I think that helps confidence for Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, don't get me wrong. Even when I'm running good, I think self-doubt is always there, as you said. So, I don't know. I think
then
for
you have
me,
Cliff Daniels in your ear to pump you back up.
Yeah, pump you up, for sure. He's great at that. So, I don't know. I think, and I have never really done it in a long time, but if I was only racing NASCAR and I was going through a dry spell, it would probably take me longer to pull out of it. So I think that's definitely, it's important for me to race a lot, physically, but mentally, probably more so than anything, just to help me forget and move on from what just happened. Like, this weekend, crashing, just, wrecking all on my own. Like, I wish I could go race this week and just forget about it, but like it's Monday right now and it's still on my mind, and it's like all I really care about, and I'm probably in a mood today because of it. So but I don't know. I mean, I think having good people around me as well, family, obviously number one. Josh for sure, friends, and then my team, always know that they have my support.
You have a badass team for sure. Jesse Saunders and the boys. Do you get questioned by people? I get questioned, and I do a small amount of just dumbass races. But, like, do you get questioned a lot? Like, why do you do that? Because I think there's a lot of people around here that have made a lot of money driving race cars, but they've kind of lost that, like, where they want to go.
Grittiness?
Like, they don't. Well, they're like, why would you do that? You can go hang out on the lake, dude. What are you doing? You can go golf. Like, do you get that question a lot?
Yeah, all the time. But
probably from Caitlin.
Yeah.
No, she gets it.
She gets it. She would definitely love for me to be home more often than I am, but I think, and I tell her this all the time, like, I'm 32. Like, I feel like I'm in my prime right now. I feel like I need to take advantage of these years of my life. I feel like also where I'm at in racing and in motorsports, I can do so much to help grow not only the top level of NASCAR, but I feel like I feel like I can uplift the grassroots stuff, which is very important to me. So there's all of that, as well as the competitive side of in training of, like, more laps is better for me, more racing situations. I feel like I can become better, just constantly learning and being physically and mentally fit for it, and becoming more fit racing. So, and then too, I mean, don't get me wrong, I make a lot of money racing dirt. Winning Knoxville Nationals pays $190,000. If you can I only race 25-ish sprint car races a year, but if I can put together good races, sell a lot of merchandise, like it's a merchandise sales
great from this fella.
Ton of
it's
millions
a great
and millions of dollars of merchandise.
No, not quite that, but
just one.
Don't be humble in here.
But
we're stacking pennies. He's stacking.
And you genuinely like racing. That's what I tell people. Like, there's nothing better than going, like, especially if you go to the racetrack and you unload and you're a shit box and you work with your guys and you make it better and you have a good night and you drink a beer on the tailgate, like on the lift gate at the end of the night. Like, there's nothing better than that feeling. I don't care what you're racing.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong. I mean, I have, like, my dry spells, like when we're not running good, and I'm like, man, like, I wish I didn't sign up for this. Like, I especially now, like with the high limit stuff, like, we built this midweek schedule kind of around me, and it's 12 races. It's 12 weeks away from home, even more. So, like, my weeks are really, really short. So yeah, I for sure get burnt out. So, like, that's why this time of year. Well, so right now, for these final 10 weeks, well, I guess 11 or 12 weeks, because I haven't raced a sprint car in a while, but a couple weeks. But it's just important for me to, like, not race that stuff, just so I could just, like, calm down and settle down. So these last 2 weeks, I've been home all week, and going to the tracks on Saturdays, it's crazy. Like, my weeks feel so long right now, in a good way. Spending more time with the kids, like going on the lake, taking them to GoPro Motorplex, just doing different stuff. Like, Audrey's starting baseball right now, so, like, I'm actually getting to have a life outside of racing while still racing on the weekends, which I feel like a normal cup guy right now, so this is great.
Yeah, but Silva gets paid every time that sprint car runs, so he's probably calling you like, hey, man,
exactly.
Tuscarora 50.
They literally did text me. They texted me this weekend like, hey, next year, let's at least do the first 2 nights of Tuscarora.
Are you going to you going to New Zealand?
I'm going to go. So I'm going to do, this off season. So I'll race just a few midget races out on the West Coast. And then I'll go to, High Limit, we're doing a big event down in Perth. I've always wanted to go to Perth. So I'm going to go there this off season just for one weekend. I don't even know if I'm there for a full week, but just a quick trip down there, come back, go to the Tulsa Shootout with Owen. And
no Chili Bowl.
I don't know. We're on the fence about it right now. We're on the fence.
That might be what the press conference is tomorrow.
Yeah, you guys never know.
You didn't do it last year, correct?
So I didn't do it 2 years ago. I was not going to do it last year, and I'm sitting in Vado, New Mexico, and racing the late model because it's the same time.
Oh, right.
And we had like a few days off or something, and I went to our house in Arizona, and I'm watching the Chili Bowl, and I'm like getting some FOMO, and I'm like looking at the calendar, like I could pull this off. I think I could go run the Chili Bowl. And,
on like a Thursday qualifier.
Yeah, I think I did a Thursday maybe. Yeah, I did Thursday, came back to Vado, did Friday. Well, so I did Thursday. I knew the only way for me to have a chance of running Saturday was a lock-in, which is the top two. So I didn't end up finishing top two. But if I did, I was going to try and race Vado, New Mexico, which ends their program goes so quick. They're done by like, I don't know, 8 o'clock most nights. And I was like, man, I could make it back to Tulsa. They usually run super long on Saturday nights, so if I make the 8, I can make it back. But I ran for Keith Coons. I sucked. I flipped. I flipped twice. I think I flipped in my heat race, and then I flipped again in the feature. Yeah, it was a struggle, but
should have plenty of time as long as it takes to push all them things off.
I know. They actually do a good job at the Chili Bowl. So, some
guy made me a sign.
Hey, I do not disagree with that sign. I've seen this, and I love that it's there.
Dude, Kevin Swindell is going to have your ass if he listens to this, just so you know.
I'm sure he doesn't. He'll see
Dude, when I ran the dirt, like when I started doing dirt late model stuff, I was like, this is great.
Yeah, it's great. Push the button and go.
I drive up the staging.
Yeah.
I drive onto the track when the other cars are pulling off.
It's great.
I'm just saying, cars, you own your own series. You can be the innovator.
Give a weight break for a start.
I know.
That's another conversation from the other day. I really wanted to get into the next 9 weeks, buddy. Trying to make a championship push with this 5-car. How do you forget about yesterday? Look ahead to going to Watkins Glen this weekend. You've won there before. Going to Bristol, one of your best racetracks. How do you feel? What's the messaging this week of that 5 team of how you get through this round of 16?
Yeah, I think just get back to what we know how to do and executing good races. We thankfully have fast race cars at almost every race we go to, so I would assume that'll be the case again this weekend. But just get back on track. Get Atlanta out of your mind. Thankfully, we racked up some bonus points throughout the regular season, and we're not as bad in the points as I thought we would be after the crash. So
where are you at right now?
15 to the good in drivers, and then 20 in the owners. But yeah, just put a solid day in. I mean, I don't think you need to you're not, obviously we're above the cut line, so you're not in desperation of got to do anything crazy. So just stay out of trouble and get a decent finish like we know we can, and then go on to Bristol, a track that we're competitive at, and hopefully make it through this round.
How much do you jump on the simulator, particularly for this week? Zero. Not even for Watkins Glen?
Mm-mm. No, I
said I got it.
I don't know. I mean, the sim to me, it just doesn't correlate to my butt and my brain in my hands. I think some people it really does, but for me it doesn't work. I don't mind going in there and doing post race stuff because I can I feel like I'm doing more to help them make it better.
To get the
but this, in my experience of the sim in the past, and they've gotten it better, but I don't know. There's a few times I've done it. You get in the sim and you have this
expectation.
What you think of what you think real life is going to be, and then you get to real life and it's not what you feel. And I always crash in the sim too. So I'm always that doesn't help your confidence when you enter and you spin and you hit the wall every time. So then you go to the track thinking your car's gonna be loose in or plowing tight on exit or something, and
it drives good.
Or you're just closer to on edge than what you would be. So I just don't want to trick my mind, really.
Well, you get enough real time seat experience that I don't feel like the simulator is going to do a whole lot for you necessarily.
I think there's a lot of people that are the same way. It's just a tool, right? And if it doesn't work, if it's not a good tool, you don't use it.
It works for lots of people.
The guys that drive it for you.
Yeah. Anthony Alfredo logged some hours in that thing.
hours and hours. He'll be in there.
He's our MVP for sure. Hendrick
6 a.m.
Motorsports. Yeah.
It's made him better because he's made that Xfinity team
for
go
sure.
score better. So
Shout
it's
out
working
Anthony
for
Alfredo.
everybody.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
the
you,
best
Anthony
business
Alfredo.
deal.
Shout out Anthony Alfredo. And you made the one little comment there about 15 points to the good driver, the 20 points good to the owner. I love the tweet response back to Denny. Did he say anything to you back?
I seen he responded. So I know when Denny's tweeting, typically it's probably Jared Allen.
Okay.
So I assume Denny knew the situation, but I felt like tweeting back because
You don't tweet often, but when you do,
yeah, I don't tweet often.
It's gold.
I've tweeted more this year than I have in the last few years.
do you read the comments?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think you get bored at night or when you're not doing anything. Which is
what's the
so
percentage,
bad to do.
What's the percentage of mean tweets that you see?
Oh, it just depends. Like if you have a great week, it's like, oh, Kyle Larson's a goat. He's the goat. He's the goat. And then like you crash one week, he's like overrated. So
it really ebbs and flows.
Max Verstappen is better. I told you.
I try to read less after a bad race, but no, I've had more fun on Twitter this year. But yeah, I don't know. It's fun. It's fun to show your personality sometimes.
It is. Well, it's people can take your 140 characters out of context sometimes.
That's why I've used more of like memes and stuff. I feel like this
I love
year.
a good meme.
Go in there and stoke the fire and then back away.
Yeah.
So how do you like your chances though for the playoffs? You got reset the playoff points, get some back after
Yeah,
Bristol.
if we can make it through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like our chances.
Who do you think is showing the most potential right now besides the 5 team?
You guys for sure.
12 team, yeah.
Yeah, you guys are always really good, and especially in the playoffs. And you can't count out Joey. Like when the pressure's on, he's extremely good.
Dude, Blaney carved yesterday.
Yeah.
That was
What about the 45?
Yeah, Yeah, Tyler for sure. Yeah, I mean, as long as they can stay consistent, as long as anybody can stay consistent in this era, you can be competitive. Bell, I think, is always sneaky good. Bell for sure. And then my Hendrick teammates as well. Denny's in a dip right now, but you can't be that fast all year long and then just have it not work out again. So
it's so crazy how much you and Tyler grew up racing against each other, and then you and Chris. Like when you think about you three now racing for a cup championship, like how long and how many races you guys have started against each other, especially with Tyler, and you guys were little kids.
Yeah. I mean, I started racing with Tyler. I think he's like 2 years younger than me, so I was probably 8. He's 6, maybe 5 at the time when we started racing together, and it's pretty crazy, but really cool. I'm sure. I mean, there's lots of guys that you grew up racing with that you're still racing with today, and it's really cool to see where you guys have come from, and even on different spectrums, like you being on pit road and stuff, like growing up as kids, like it's really cool. So I think it just makes me proud of where we came from in Northern California, racing dirt oval go-karts and going different paths once we became teenagers too, and then still getting to the top level of sport and being separated by 1 point at the end of the regular season.
Have you won at Red Bluff yet? Is that still something looming over your head?
So I never won a box stock race, which is like
Where's Red Bluff?
It's Northern California. So
where they grew up racing.
Yeah, it's like
okay.
Yeah, I would say Cycleland and Red Bluff is the two main tracks. And Cycleland, like Tyler and I dominated. Red Bluff, I don't remember.
Red Bluff
I'm guessing
is inside,
it's
in like
indoors,
a cattle
it's winter.
barn
So
type thing.
Cycland's summer, Red Bluff's winter.
Okay.
Red Bluff's like the Bowman Gray of go-karts. Like it's tight, bull ring. I mean, you got to like slam through people and all that.
And you've never won there?
So I never won a box stock race, which is a kids division.
Yeah.
And then
So that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
You could try,
Yeah.
but
And then I won a ton of 125 and 250 races. And then the next step was the Opens, which is the 500cc or nowadays.
what they ran at Millbridge.
Yeah. Never won an open race, but I haven't ran that many of them. So like
I
this
drove
off
one
season,
time, it rattled my eyeballs out.
yeah, dude.
I drove one time,
Ugh.
and he coming past me, and I tried to follow him in the corner and dumped all the air off the wing. I drove up the fence. That's aero tight right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
The wings are so big for how small the cars are. So yeah, you do get aero
Wing to car
effect in that.
ratios.
Yeah, but no, I've never won an open race there, and I like so I still like will try and go there every now and then a race. Like I ran this off season, and I'm getting close to the point of just accepting the fact that I'm probably never gonna win a.
Keep
open race
fighting,
there.
man. Keep fighting the good fight. Out of all the that you've won,
I know.
like that to that loom over your head.
Dude, it's tough. It is so tough there. You have to have luck. but you have to be good, and you just have to do it a lot. Like I qualified second when I ran there this off season, and was pumped about that. But dude, as soon
How
as
big is this joint?
I'll show you.
Eighth
eighth
mile?
of a mile.
I'll show you a video.
Like it's
when we're done.
tiny.
Okay.
Higgy's gonna pull a video up. And
It's
put it on there.
tiny. But yeah, as soon as we started the heat race, I was just like, you got to get used to the clutch again, and like it's just a lot's going on. They're way overpowered.
Well, that's the gift and the curse to you too. Is
Thank-
like you go win Knoxville at will, and everybody's like,
Oh, and
you don't
everybody,
win, and they're
everybody
like,
wants
oh,
to. Yeah,
yeah.
everybody
What the
wants to
hell? I
slide
didn't
job
win.
Kyle Larson.
Yeah.
If you let's just say like 3 years from now, you had no contractual obligations, but you still had all the relationships to create your own dream schedule. What would that look like?
Like in Cup?
Nope. Sprinkle some cup races.
gosh.
Sprinkle some sprint car races. IndyCar races.
Like I'm not full time in anything.
Correct.
NASCAR Brazil, whatever
Like if
you want.
NASCAR Brazil, if you had like LarsonCars.com to just sponsor you wherever you wanted to go.
Gosh, I don't know. I honestly I enjoy doing what I get to do, but yeah, I mean if you weren't racing for points, like there's a lot of sprint car racing this summer that I could go do for sure, which I do get to do a ton of it. But there'd be a little bit more of that.
Would you?
I would run the majority of the Cup schedule for
Yeah.
sure. I don't know. I guess there's other series in different countries. You know, maybe I could go run. That'd be
Such
fun.
as?
I don't know. You know, like a V8 supercar would be kind of cool.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like get to go do the Bathurst would be
Yeah.
neat. But yeah, there's just conflicts. There's conflicts. There's
I was
there's
taking
not enough
conflicts
days.
out.
There's not enough days in the year. But yeah, conflicts out. But still, there's big races on the same weekends.
Yeah.
You know, so
That's true.
I don't know.
Some dirt late mile races.
Yeah, I would like to. I mean, I would love to like get to, you know, try and win the world someday. Which I've ran the world and Dream and some other big races, but
Well,
I just don't get to
Davenport,
put enough
so-
time into it right now to get good. So I've kind of backed
Stuck
off
with
the late
sprint
model.
cars.
Huh?
Stuck with the sprint cars.
For right now.
Yeah.
But if I get some more free time where I could like commit to getting better in the late model, I would get back into it
You haul ass in that thing too. There's not much you don't haul ass
for like
in.
one lap.
I don't know,
Then-
dude. That race,
The
at
first
Port
one,
Royal,
didn't you win the World of Outlaw race the first time you ever drove at East Bay?
No, I haven't ran.
Port.
Oh, it's
Yeah, I
Port
ran
Royal.
Port Royal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I finished 5th, I think, the first night, and then yeah, we won the second night. So that was cool. That's honestly like I forget about it sometimes, but when people ask like, "What's the greatest accomplishment you've ever had?" That might be it. Like
Really?
you know, like because when that's a totally different realm of style of driving.
Those things are both.
Well, and
And the competition is so stacked, especially that weekend. You had the Outlaw guys there, Lucas guys, and
the chatter around it.
yeah, and there was
Everybody
just
like,
hype
yeah,
and-
he's good at because you were having a hell of a
Yeah.
You were having a hell of a sprint car year, and like, yeah, he's good at sprint cars, but he could never come. He
yeah.
could never come run a
Yeah,
late
so
model.
that was cool. Yeah, I mean that might be like one of my best, if not my best, accomplishment. So that was cool.
It was cool.
It's a long list of accomplishments, buddy. Which leads us into the 3 questions. I think
Okay.
you probably asked you these last year, but for a refresher for the fans, if you had to pick one race car and one racetrack to race at the rest of your life, you don't get to pick anything else or race anything else. You have to pick one car and one track.
I would do probably a wing 410 sprint car, Knoxville Nationals.
I could have bet the house that was going to
Yeah.
be the answer. And nobody would ever beat you for all of eternity.
I don't know.
Well,
As long as Donnie's
that's a
still
good.
around.
If we're talking about arguments, that is a great argument. You in your prime, Donnie Schatz in his prime at Knoxville. Because and then put
Like
Steve
a pole
Kinzer in his
dash?
prime there,
Yeah.
and
I
Doug
don't
Wolfgang
know.
in his
I
prime.
mean-
Therefore, like if we're talking
Donnie's record there is
impressive.
going to be impossible to beat. I mean, the guy has run like I don't know how many Knoxville Nationals, 21 or 2, and has been on the podium like 18 times. Got an average finish of like 2.6 probably.
Oh, my. Yeah, and he's so
In
fun to watch.
2 decades of
So
racing
fun
there.
to
So
watch.
yeah, he's incredible.
Well, there you have it. 410 sprint car, Knoxville's Larson's answer. Understandably, second one. What's your most embarrassing moment at the racetrack?
I think I remember the one from last time.
Yeah, I think because this was right after it. I think it happened.
I don't remember.
Well,
what it was.
no. So there, you had 2, but
I had 2, and I still have 2. if you want me to refresh everybody on the two. Okay. First one was we ran K&N at Dover, 2012. I helicoptered to Williams Grove, ran for Tom Book in the 13 sprint car. Missed qualifying, had to tag the back of the heat race. Never been in his car before. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to lag back so I can get a little hot lap in here before I catch the field. I went down the backstretch, squeezed the brakes to get into turn 3, and it hung a hard left. I clipped the inside wall, wrecked in front of Beer Hill Gang, and they were all screaming at me, laughing. And I was like, the Pennsylvania Posse fans didn't really like me back then. Do
they like you now?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
But I was like this hyped, really overly hyped young kid at the time. So yeah, that was embarrassing.
Didn't you tell them to stay on the porch at some point in time? You got some Twitter beef with them.
Yes. No, it's fun. But then the second one was I think it was last year. I won at Golden Isle in the dirt late model, and it was an awesome race. Passed Ricky Thornton with 2 to go after battling him in Overton. Knocking the boards down, got the lead, won. Did the scales, the droop, everything, came ripping back onto the racetrack on the on-ramp and went to go. I want to do a fast donut into 3, and I spun. I'm like, oh, I almost backed it in the fence, but I nosed it into the wall, destroyed the nose, and I've been pretty terrible in a dirt late model ever since. So,
would you get all the good out of it?
I must have. I think it bent the nose of that car, but yeah, that was embarrassing.
Last question. If I had a Men in Black pin where it zaps all your memory, but you only had to keep one memory, whether that's a watershed moment where something happened and it went the right way in your fortune, or just a win, if there's one racing memory you got to keep, what is that?
If I could just relive winning the championship in 21, get to relive that whole, really just from when the checker flag drops till you go to bed at 5 in the morning.
Or or you see the bed and
I wish I could see Cliff again, in his state that he was in. I would like to relive those 12 hours.
Well, you have a chance in 9 weeks to be able to do that, buddy. And from Stacking Pennies audience in the studio, we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Kyle Larson, everybody. Follow that 5 groups championship run. They're going to be hard to beat.
Hope so.